Hi, I'm Pam of PamBranchDesigns.com. Today I'm working with air dry clay. Specifically, I'm using DOS air dry clay. I'm rolling out the clay to the thickness of about 2 craft sticks that have been taped together. Then for the first project, I'm using this coaster that was made from a ceramic tile. It's about 4 inches by 4 inches, and I'm using this as a template to cut out my air dry clay. After I've cut out my clay in this basic square shape, I'm going to shape it using a couple of cardboard cylinders that came with some paper. But before I shape the clay, I'm just using a little water on my finger to smooth out the edges. You may notice that the ceramic tile left a bit of an imprint in the clay. I'm just not too concerned about that. If you want your clay to be more smooth, be sure to use a smooth object if you're using something as a template to cut out your clay. Now, as I said, I'm using these cylinders. They came in a paper roll, well, several paper rolls, and I'm just using them to sculpt my air dry clay. I'm going to just let this sit here and dry, and then once it gets dry overnight, I'll just flip it over and let it dry another day on the other side. While that other piece starts to dry, I've already rolled out another piece of clay, and I'm using a bowl, and I'm using that bowl as a template just by gently pressing it into the clay. And then once I make an imprint, then I will use my X-Acto knife to cut out the form. Once I get that cut out, then I'll just use my X-Acto knife and a little bit of water on my finger to clean up the edges. While the clay is still soft, I'm going to use a straw to poke 2 holes into the top of my clay circle. Once both pieces are dry, I'm just going to take them outside and give them a bit of a sanding just to make sure that there's no rough edges. And again, because I smoothed them out pretty well using the water, there's really not a lot to sand away. Now for the fun part, which is the decoupage. I'm using a lightweight napkin glue because I'm using a lighter weight tissue paper to decoupage this candle holder. And I have to admit that when I started this project, I really wasn't sure what I was going to use it for. It wasn't until it was done that I realized what I could use it for. The paper that I'm going to use on this particular project is a repeating pattern. It's a blue sort of floral paper. It's the same paper that I used on the tissue box holder in another video. And you'll see that tissue box holder later, and I'll link that video below. I like this paper because, as I said, it's a seamless repeating pattern, so that I can put this paper down, put another one next to it, and then the design just continues from one piece of the paper to the next. Now sometimes when I am applying this paper, I use a piece of plastic to smooth out the paper, but sometimes I just use my fingers. Now, I wasn't sure at first if I was just going to use my sander and just take off that extra paper from the side, but then I decided I would just fold it over. That way the edge would look more finished. Now, while that's drying, I'll move on to my next project, which is the circle with the two holes. And I have this tissue paper. It's a pretty light tissue paper. I mean, this design is available on my website. The one that you'll receive if you order it is a little heavier. I was just playing around with this one. I think it's a little too light. It is easy to work with, but I think a little heavier paper works better, particularly in the printing process. So I'm putting down the napkin glue again, and I'm just putting this down first, and then I'll put the paper over it. Sometimes I use a spray to seal in my projects, and sometimes I use the same glue that I use to adhere the paper as a sealant. This time I'm using the same napkin glue as a sealant for these two projects. I thought the back looked a little boring, so I decided to paint it blue. I found this shade of blue that I thought would be perfect, so I painted the back. After it dried, I gave the back a quick spray with an acrylic sealer. And then I attached some chain that was in my stash to the top of the circle clay wall art. I decided that the little clay piece would make the great candle holder that it is, and it matches with the tissue box. And then here's my little bit of summer wall art hanging in my office. And if you have any questions, please leave them below. And like I said, I'll leave a link to the tissue box project below. Feel free to come on over to my Facebook Decoupage group. We'd love to have you.